He used to say, "A good wall doesn't need to announce itself." He said it about structures, load-bearing walls, the ones inside the frame that hold the whole system up, floors, ceiling, everything above. You don't see them. You don't think about them. The house just stands, and somewhere inside the house, something is carrying that. I've been thinking about that. I'm Eleanor. Nell. I've been in this province of Mongolia since October. 6 months now, give or take, though the weeks stop separating cleanly around February. The lake is below me, frozen still, white, flat, enormous. Every few days I hear it crack. Not a surface sound, nothing like you'd expect. More like something structural happening far below, a shifting. Khövsgöl, they call it, and when the ice releases pressure, the sound travels up through the ground before it reaches the air. So you feel it first in the soles of your feet, then you hear it. Like the lake is deciding something. I'm 63 years old. I was a high school librarian for 31 years in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I was married for 40 years. I have 3 children, Tim, who's 40, and Karen, who's 38, and David, who's 35. All of them are fine. That's the part that's hard to explain without sounding like something is wrong with me. All of them are fine. No, let me back up, because there's a thing you're probably asking that I haven't answered yet, and it's the obvious one, and I don't have a clean answer for it. Why Mongolia? Gerald asked me that. That's my husband, Gerald. He's 67, a civil engineer, retired. He asked why Mongolia, and I said because it's the furthest place I could think of. He asked when I was leaving, and I said Thursday. He said, "Well, let me know how I can help." And he helped. He printed out flight information. He found the name of a guide in Ulaanbaatar who rents cabins to foreigners near the lake. He asked whether I needed extra medication for the altitude. He drove me to the airport Sunday, hugged me at the curb, said to call when I landed. And I sat in that car for a moment before I got out. Just for 1 second, waiting. I don't know what I was waiting for. Something to break through. Some part of him that would say, no, or why, or please don't. Some crack in the frame. Nothing came. He was a good man. That's the truest thing I can say. He was patient and steady and never cruel. He was the kind of husband other women describe to their daughters as what you hope for. And I drove away from that airport thinking, what was I holding up exactly? The cabin has one window that faces east. In the mornings, the light comes in flat and cold over the mountains and hits the wall with the books. I brought 40 books. I've read them all, some of them twice. There's a shelf against the wall. When I finished the last book, I put it with the others and looked at the empty space where new books would go. And I thought, a librarian with 40 books. I know every book in this room. I have never known what I wanted to read for myself. That's what I mean. It was Istanbul that started it. Karen suggested the trip. She said, "Mom, you've never been anywhere." And she meant it kindly. She was right. Gerald didn't come. He doesn't travel well, hadn't in years, his back, and he doesn't like the unpredictability. So Karen and I went, and on the flight over, a woman sat next to me. I don't know her name. She was maybe 45, from somewhere in Europe, going to visit a cousin, and she asked me, just in conversation, "What do you love, like, for yourself?" And I tried to answer. I tried for 3 hours. I listed Gerald's preferences, what Gerald liked to eat, the trips Gerald had always wanted to take, the television programs we watched together because he enjoyed them. I listed the things the children needed. I listed the garden, but that was really for Gerald. He likes the tomatoes. I listed the library, but that was work. That was 31 years of other people's reading. The woman fell asleep sometime around hour 2. I don't think she intended the question to go where it went. I came home from Istanbul and waited 8 months. I'm not sure what I was waiting for. I think I thought something would change, that I would stop noticing, that the noticing would pass the way other things pass. It didn't. It got quieter and clearer at the same time. October, a Sunday. I put the pot roast on at 11. Same recipe I've made for 40 years, give or take. Gerald's mother's recipe, technically, which became mine by repetition. 2,100 Sundays of cooking what the house expected. I took it out at 2 and set it on the table, and Gerald came in from the garage where he'd been working on something, and I said, "I'm going to Mongolia." He looked at the roast. He said, "Why Mongolia?" I said, "Because it's the furthest place I can think of." He said, "When?" I said, "Thursday." He said, "Well, let me know how I can help." He was a good man. I want to be clear about that. He is a good man. There was no cruelty in it, no indifference exactly. It was more that his kindness, after 40 years, had learned the shape of me so perfectly, it had stopped looking at me directly. Like a load-bearing wall. You don't look at it. You don't think about it. It holds. That's enough. Except somewhere in me, something had started asking, "But what am I holding up exactly? If I'm the wall, what is on the other side of me? What is mine?" The children adjusted in 2 weeks. I know this because Karen called me in Ulaanbaatar. I was still in the city, waiting for the guide to take me north. And she said, "Dad is fine. We're rotating Sunday dinners. Everything is fine." Her voice was calm. Careful, but calm. Tim emailed that he was proud of me, which is a thing you say when you don't know what to say. David sent a book recommendation, which is the most David thing possible, and the book was actually excellent, and I've read it 3 times. The structure stayed standing. That's what it means. I thought I was the load-bearing wall, and the house is still there, and the children are rotating Sunday dinners, and Gerald found his rhythm. I don't know what to do with that. There are nomadic people in this region. The Satan, reindeer herders, move with the seasons. I see them occasionally, very far away, small figures at the edge of the steppe. They never stop moving. That's their way. I'm the only person for many kilometers who stays in one place. I do not speak Mongolian. I have learned 3 words. The family I rent from speaks no English. We communicate through gestures and a shared willingness to leave each other alone, which is its own kind of fluency. I walk to the lake every morning. The ice creaks under itself. I went to the edge of it once and stood there looking at the surface, not perfectly smooth, but cracked in long, slow patterns, like something architectural, like plans, like a structure that has been under pressure for a long time and has been recording every bit of it in its face. The cracks don't mean the ice is failing. The ice is meters thick. The cracks are just what pressure looks like when it's honest. I stood there for a long time. I am still explaining myself to him, even here, even now. I notice it, the way I narrate everything toward Gerald, toward a gentleness that would understand. The voice that asks, why Mongolia? The voice that receives each answer quietly and says, when? And, well, let me know how I can help. He was a good man. I smell the pot roast sometimes. Not the real thing, just the memory of it, the specific smell of that particular Sunday, the smell of a life that fit like a glove that you'd had for so long you'd forgotten you had hands. There's a shelf on the wall with the books, 40 books. The shelf has space for maybe 40 more. There are no bookstores in Khövsgöl. The nearest town is 6 kilometers away, and it does not have a bookstore. My hair was cut there by a woman who doesn't speak English, in a small room above a feed shop, with scissors that were not quite sharp enough. She did a fine job, better than Gerald ever managed when I tried to cut costs that way, back in the early years. The shelf sits there empty on one side, waiting. I don't know what for. He used to say, a good wall doesn't need to announce itself. I think I believed that for 40 years. I think I became it. The question I keep asking now, not to him, not to Karen, not to anyone who might answer, is a small one. It doesn't sound significant, but I ask it in the mornings when the light comes through the east window and hits that empty half of the shelf, and I still don't have an answer that satisfies me. What would I put there if I could put anything?